Hello everyone, Klaus here, and today guys I'm gonna review one of my mocks, or at least not only a mock, but I'm gonna review a mock which is not made by me but by Shaddow, and of course it's from our revamp of the Slicer series, of the Slicers series, excuse me. And well, this mock is made by Shaddow, so not by me. I'm just here to use this mock in English, in fact, because Shaddow don't really want to make some English reviews, so I'm just gonna also present his review. And for those who don't remember, the Slicer project, in fact the project S, consists in revamping or remaking all the 12 Slicer sets, which were released between 1999 and the year 2000, in some more actualized canister size set. Or at least canister sized mock, if I can say so, because it's not really set. And well, the Slicer or Robot of the day is City. And as I said, of course, because there were like 12 slicers, it was a project we made at 2, so I made 6 slicers, and Shaddow, so one of my friends, made the 6 other, and that mock is one of his, in fact. So this mock was made by Shaddow, and all credits goes to him for the building, the construction, and stuff like that. I'm just here to present you the mock. So here City. You know that the first City was really quite original because it was in fact a car. It didn't really have any legs or arms. It was just, well, a guy with a slicer head and kind of 4 wheels. So Shaddow kind of made this for this one, for the revamp. But as you can see, this time it's got like 6 wheels instead of just 4. But you can see that he reused the 4 original wheels on the rear part right here, as you can see. Also, of course, the color is black, teal, and yellow. So all yellow, so like the old city set, excuse me. And well, of course, it can roll, as you can see. The wheel works pretty well, and well, that's in fact just an aspect and function of this mock, because as you can imagine, in fact, this mock is not supposed to be a vehicle, so a 6-wheel vehicle, because in fact it can transform. So that's why I decided to show you the car mode at first, and then I'm gonna transform this mock, and then I will explain how the mocks works, how the different parts are made, and stuff like that. So enjoy this mod, because I'm not gonna remake this another time. So I'm just gonna do the turn around again, so you can see the parts used and stuff like that. And now I'm gonna transform it. So I'm gonna put on the disc first. Put this part, excuse me, on this side. Then, well, just move this part thanks to the ball joint. In fact, it's really an easy transformation, nothing really complicated. So here are the arms, of course, which I'm gonna turn in this way. Then put this part right here to have the kind of the fist. The same goes here. I'm gonna turn down the head. And then finally this part, I'm just gonna, this part on the rear, as you can see, I'm just gonna turn the ball joint a little, then put this right here. The same goes for the second one. And I'm gonna do, I think, yes, it works this way. Well, no, yes, I think, yes, it's working this way, yeah. And here we go. We have the City Slicer, or at least the revamp made by Shaddow, in his biped form, so with 2 legs, in fact, and not just a car form. So he made the 2 versions, and that's quite an interesting idea, I have to say. Plus, the transformation is pretty simple, so it's worked quite well. So I'm going to do just a little turnaround first, and then I'm going to explain you how this model works, in fact, from the leg to the head, of course. Explain every section of this mock. So, first of all are the legs. Well, the legs, I can in fact divide this mock into 2 sections, so I'm gonna do that. It will be easier to explain how it works. So you got the upper section and the lower section. So the lower section, first of all, is made, excuse me, I'm gonna just put off the light. It's made with a vacuum pelvis, as you can see quite here, while you can see maybe the little shape, and of course the tube ball joint on the side. Of course the tube ball joint will be used for to link the 2 legs. Then you have got some older head for the little details. As you can see, you have some a long axle right here, in fact, which is linked on this little part right here. And these little parts are used to link, in fact, the tail. So with a Titan connector right here. And then you're gonna link two Titan connectors together right here, plus this part. Then this some axle plus some tail part, and this articulated, not really axle, but just articulated little parts, and then some slicer lift arm, and you will have these two parts on the back, which will be linked, in fact, into the two remaining pinhole of the vacuum pelvis. But well, it's quite black, so you can't really see that well. Like that, and here we go for all the little, well, just a little bug right here, I think, a little ant, flying ant. Well, not really important, so I'm gonna go on, and also notice this little part, which should be useful, of course, to link this part to the upper one. Now for the legs, so it seems quite complicated, but in fact it's quite easy when you just put off this part, which I'm gonna make, and then you can see that in fact it's a custom double connector. So this means using two connectors, then link them thanks to this little part. Also notice this yellow part, which is just here, and in fact for the overall color scheme, and to have some touch of yellow in the overall black and teal color scheme, which works pretty well, I have to say. So you can see, in fact, it's just two connectors linked with this part. Then we're gonna link, well, kind of the we're not gonna call this hips, but well, maybe. So we're gonna link some technique panels, thanks to these two little parts, and also notice that this part got an axle right here, and of course, well, you may know this part from some Titan set, I guess. And well, notice little axle hole, and this axle hole, we're gonna link this one directly into this axle put on this connector. And this part right here is, I think, useful to cover the hole, I think, and also make it stronger on this, make it stronger for the connector right here, because as you have seen, in fact, the two connectors are just linked thanks to these little parts on the rear section. Then you have the lower part of the legs, which of course this time are not really foot but wheels, so it's linked thanks to a 2006 ball joint, as you can see right here. Then you have an axle of 3, which is linked on two of these little parts, and these two little parts linked, in fact, in their in between these little parts, you've got two technique beams, this one and this one in the L-shaped form, and on this technique beams you got the two little wheels linked thanks to these little gray parts. So I think it's quite like the original City Slicer or Turbo. I think it's called Turbo. Well, I hope. And that's all for the lower part, so nothing really complicated, in fact, apart from maybe the legs, which are in fact all custom made, as you have seen, and do not really use any Inika legs or Piwaka legs or stuff like that. Also notice this little part on the back, which will be useful to the overall design, and to add some teal green on the overall color scheme. And now for the upper section, so oh, it works, guy, because I did not really see. I'm gonna maybe first put off this part. Oh, okay, I see. So first of all, we're gonna have this little parts right here. So as you can see, some pins right there, some little parts. This little part is linked to this part, as you can see, there is an axle right there, an axle. So this axle is in fact directly linked. Well, it works in a better way in this way. So this axle, as you can see, is linked to this little part, and this little parts are linked to what you can see here is of course an Onua Mystica body armor, and on this body armor will be linked some these parts, which are some thematic parts, as you can see, with some I do not have the name for the little metal parts right here, but well, some springs, yes, some springs right here. So of course it's quite useful because there is some teal parts, and you can find these parts in the Tawakara set. And well, as you can see, we have this part right there, and notice also this little axle right there with a little studs on this side, because we're gonna link this axle on the arm section part. So the arm section part again is made with this little axle of 3 plus studs. Shaddow really likes this part because they are quite useful to to link some axle and some holes together, some pinholes, excuse me. So it's linked thanks to little parts. Again, notice little axle hole. Then this part will be linked to double long connectors, and then on here we're gonna find the two arms. So Baroque arm plus some some Baroque arms, plus then some older foot with this part right here in there, and then we're gonna link the slicer lift arm plus a connector plus a ball joint, and a ball joint which is linked to a wheel, the front wheels. So I hope you have understood me. You got first a Baroque arm, then an older foot. On this older foot we're gonna have this little part which will be useful to link the slicer lift arm up in the teal color, and on this slicer lift arm we're gonna link another connector, then a ball joint, and finally the wheel itself. And so notice the little axle as I've mentioned earlier. We're gonna link that in this way, but we still have two axles left right there. So this means we're gonna use, also notice with the little on the back of this axle, we're gonna link this gear. Well, I'm gonna link this way. It's little gears, so quite nice for little details from the original slicer, of course, and also to add some yellow colors in the other color scheme. And then when you have the neck part, so the neck part is made thanks to two of this part plus a Glatorian neck part, then a connector part and a connector piece. And then you have this technique we used on all our slicer revamp to link the heads. So, well, it's changed sometimes, but this is this technique we're gonna use for this slicer, or at least Shaddow used for this slicer. This little part plus an axle, and this axle, of course, will go in the connector axle hole. Well, I think it's worked pretty well. Of course, sometimes it's quite moved, but apart from that, it's an interesting, as you can see, custom frame, in fact, which is really made with some little parts, and it's looked pretty nice. And finally, of course, we're gonna link these pins into these pin holes right here. This two one, you can see clearly. Yes, gears kind of blocked, but I think that's really okay. Now we're gonna link these two parts on the back. We can add also the disc, but it will fall off really shortly, so that's why I'm not gonna really put it there. But I think we are done with the construction, the building of this mod, guys. And now I've done the turnaround. I think I'm going to talk about the articulations of this set, because it is, well, it's not really pretty articulated, I have to admit, of course, because of the fact that it's supposed to transform. Of course, sometimes you can't really have beautiful articulations. So, of course, on the pelvic section part, there is no big problem. You can turn this other way. There is a ball joint. There, you can't really go. Well, it's the maximum you can do. You can't really put the legs. You can really turn it in the back, or well, you can do stuff like that, but that's quite, I think that's quite hard to pose him when he's in this type of pose, I have to say. Of course, you can put this in front to have the transformation mode for the vehicle mode, but apart from that, I think that's all for the legs, because of course there is not another third ball joint for the foot, because there are no feet, excuse me, on this model. Then you have the arms. In fact, it's just two ball joints, so one here and one there, so you can do still some pose like that, for example. So no big problem, I have to say. You got a ball joint right here if you want to move the kind of the hands, which can also, I think, compare it to a chain gun, maybe. If you turn this in this way, it kind of look like a gun or so. So it still works, and you can still do some pose with the arms. And also you have, and finally you've got the head, which is of course mounted on a ball joint, so this means it can look up a little, not kind of down also, and yes, a little on the side, but it works pretty well. So, well, in fact, it's pretty well articulated, apart maybe for the legs, of course. Finally, also you have this ball joint here, and of course the gimmicks, which goes with the throwing disc arm, so like that. I don't know if you have seen, if you have saw it, yes, works pretty nice. You got of course 2 versions right here, but they are just here for the transformation mode, in fact, not really useful. And I think that will be all for this set guy, this mock, excuse me, this mock. And well, maybe I'm gonna transform him again. I said I wouldn't transform him again, but well, I think we have still some time left, and it's really quick, in fact, and it will allow me to show you again how it works. So this means we're gonna turn this part first, right here, then this one, and just put this part in this way, so it will be blocked by the Onya Mystica armor. So you can't, in fact, really mistake when you have understand this. Then we're gonna have the rear wheels, excuse me, which are supposed to go in this way. I'm checking if it's really symmetrical. Yes, I think that's it. We're gonna, of course, put the head in this way, so the head can look in front of it, in front of not in front of him, but well, in the front. And then we're gonna just turn this part in this way. And then finally the slicer throwing disc arm, excuse me. And here we go, it's done. And I think this will be all for this review, guys. So, well, I think it's quite an interesting model because the color scheme is really great with a little touch of yellow and stuff like that. There was also some interesting building techniques in there, I have to say. The only problem I have with this vehicle, and I have already said that to Shaddow, is that maybe well, it's not really as close as the original because it's more like a truck than really a race car. So, well, I would have loved if it was really a race car and not really kind of a mix between a car and a truck, but well, still looks pretty original. And also, of course, the legs are not really articulated, I have to say. But apart from this little problem, it's a pretty solid build because all the legs and the body is all custom made. So I think it's quite original, and I think it can help you it can give you some ideas. And well, that's all for this month, guys. So hope you enjoy this review, hope you enjoy this mock, and of course, if you have any comments to make or question about this mock, feel free to ask them, or feel free to also post your comments. I'm sure Shaddow will be pleased if you comment his mocks, because he really takes time to make some working mock, and also the transformation of this mock work. And I think that works, excuse me. And I think that's quite all. So hope you enjoyed, guys, and see you later for another Bionicle video review. Bye bye.